Hey, Redeeming Life Church, Pastor Bryan here. If you've ever read the book of John, you probably remember running across the story in chapter 4 where Jesus starts talking to the Samaritan woman at a well. His disciples are in town. It's just him and this woman, and they get into a conversation about living water and eternal life, and then he says, hey, go get your husband, and she says, I don't have a husband, and he says, you're right, you have had 5 husbands, and now you're living with a guy who's not your husband, and she goes, ooh, I'm busted. And so she throws out this controversial issue. Hey, I think you're a prophet, and by the way, you guys say that you're supposed to only worship in Jerusalem, and we say, the Samaritans, that we're supposed to worship on this mountain. You know, who's right? What's up with that? What she's pointing at is Leviticus 17, where God prescribes where the Israelites are to worship. We find out through all of Leviticus that he prescribes how we're to worship, when we're to worship, and where we are to worship. And that's what she's getting at. She understood what the Jews believed in Leviticus 17. We're also going to see this phenomenal thing called the Day of Atonement in Leviticus 16. This is where we've got sacrifice, the situation that happens once a year. We've got a goat that gets sacrificed and a goat that's the scapegoat that gets run out of camp. And there's all this stuff that's going on, and it's really a picture of what Jesus is doing to conquer and rule over sin. And we're going to see how Jesus is foreshadowed in Leviticus 16 and frankly in 17 as well. So God's prescribing where they're to worship. But then Jesus responds to her in this way. He says, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. He's referring to himself, the line that's coming through there. Then he says this, but the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father is seeking such people to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. We're going to be taking a look at what Jesus is getting at and how, even though God prescribes when, how, and where we worship, and he still does today, how Jesus frees us to worship in spirit and in truth in so many profound ways. I really hope that we'll see you on Sunday. If you want to read ahead, go ahead and look at Leviticus 16 and the first half of 17. And honestly, I wouldn't think it'd be too far of a stretch to read John chapter 4 as well. These are great, great chapters. I think you'll find it really rewarding. And then just come and be prepared to worship. Hey, I also want to let you know that on Sunday night, we're going to have a dessert with the pastor. So if you're not a member at Redeeming Life Church, if you've never heard our vision, our history, our mission, and what we're doing, how to get plugged in, how to get involved, how to make disciples, how to be a part of the city with the communication, what we're doing. If you want to ask questions, if you want to talk to us about what we believe and who we are, this is the night for you. Plus, we're having dessert. If you're interested in that, please get a hold of us. Let us know so we can prepare accordingly. And we'll just plan on seeing you on Sunday.